welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Oppa, Unnie, Hyung, Noona, and she. So this is one of the most complicated, in quotation marks, parts of Korean. There are some languages that use honorifics instead of actually calling someone's name. But it is what it is. First of all, why use those for honorifics and many other honorifics in Korean? Well, Koreans have a very different perspective of respect. So to them, respect is a lot more important, much more different than our culture, like the Western culture. So I know that at first it might sound like very weird. So despite the first shock that you might get, like why Oppa, why Unnie, why Hyung, why Noona, actually once you keep studying, once you keep seeing how the culture works, and you're willing to understand it, believe me, you'll get really used to it, and you'll reach a point where you can't say someone's name without adding some sort of honorific. Like, I can't talk about someone Korean and not say like Unnie or she, at least something, yeah. It's not that those people have nothing else to do, it's just that respect to them is really, really important, and this is one of the things that I really love about Korean. So as long as you're willing to understand why they are using such honorifics, you'll go forward, you will master the Korean culture, but you really need to understand and feel why respect is so important to them. Now that we got that out of the way, let's see what Oppa, Unnie, Hyung, Noona, and she is all about. Those four honorifics are usually, or mostly, for siblings. So if I have an older sister, I'm going to call her Unnie. If I have an older brother, I'm going to call him Oppa. And if I'm a boy and I have an older sister, I'm going to call her Noona. If I have an older brother and I'm still a boy, then I'll call him Hyung. So besides family, how do we call people? So when you first meet someone, it's very appreciated if you call that person name and she. So Nicky 씨, 민수 씨, 경은 씨. And this is something like Mr. and Mrs. in a way. It shows respect. It does show respect. So you're playing very safe. If you say she, you're okay. You're not rude. You are very respectful. You're very nice, and still, keep it formal and everything. So this is the first thing that you should really do. So when you meet someone for the first time, you don't know each other, don't just start like,
누나 이거 잘 지내고 있지?
everything. Don't do that. So it's going to be like, 안녕하세요. 네, 안녕하세요. 이름이 뭐예요? 이름이 현우 씨예요. Okay, 이름이 뭐예요? 이거 니키라고 합니다. 니키 씨, 현우 씨. That's it. Then once you get to know each other better, you can ask that person, how do you want me to call you? To play completely safe. Like, this is super formal, super smart. You're going to seem so respectful and to be so understanding of the Korean culture. So you can say, 어떻게 부르면 좋을까요? 어떻게 부르면 좋을까요? So how would you like me to call you? And here, people are going to be so impressed, believe me. Instead of calling them Oppa all the time and Unnie and Hyung and Noona and everything, don't do that. Ask them, how do you want me to call you? And you are going to be bump. Or you can play even more straightforward. I have done this actually once and it didn't seem bad. Like, my friend smiled. So she was my first Korean friend ever. I mean, she still is my first Korean friend. And when we met, I didn't know that she was older than me. Like, I really didn't. Someone told me she's 18 years old. I would have believed them. I swear to God, I would have believed them. But still, I knew that playing safe is the most impressive thing you can do. So instead of calling her Unnie or using informal, thinking that she's younger than me, I use her name and she. So 땡땡 she. And then at some point she tells me that she's older than me, and I'm like, what? So once I realized that she's Unnie for me, I just asked, like, 언니라고 불러도 돼요? So can I call you Unnie? Is that okay? And she said, yeah, no problem, perfect. She smiled, so that meant that mission accomplished. I was nice and respectful. So this is a really impressive way to show someone that you understand their culture. Believe me, everyone's going to appreciate it. So here's how you do it. The first question is, 어떻게 부르면 좋을까요? 어떻게 부르면 좋을까요? How can I call you? How do you want me to call you? The second question is more straightforward, and you straight ask the person, do you want me to call you this? Or can I call you this? 언니라고 불러도 돼요? 언니라고 불러도 돼요? 오빠라고 불러도 돼요? 오빠라고 불러도 돼요? 누나라고 불러도 돼요? 누나라고 불러도 돼요? 형이라고 불러도 돼요? 형이라고 불러도 돼요? And the reason that 형 takes an E in between is because it has a consonant in the 받침 position. So 형이라고, you can't say 형이라고. It sounds a bit So 형이라고 불러도 돼요? I really recommend, really advise you to use those questions before calling someone anything. Well, not anything, but those 4 honorifics. Before you call someone this way, ask them if they're okay with that. Before those honorifics, use she, Mr. and Mrs. Another way to understand how someone wants to be called is if they suggested themselves. Let's say that my friend could have said, call me Unnie. Like right from the beginning, she could have said, call me Unnie. 언니라고 불러도 돼. You can say Unnie, you can call me Unnie. But in case you really feel kind of anxious and you don't know how you should call that person, just ask them. Really, they're not going to get offended or anything. They're actually going to appreciate being asked before you call them something. Another situation that those 4 honorifics should be avoided is when the person already has a honorific for themselves. So let's say your teacher, you cannot call your teacher one of those 4. You really can't. So teacher is 선생님, 선생님, 선생님. This is how you call your teacher. You can't call them 누나, 형, 오빠, 언니. No, they're your teacher. And I'm telling you this, and I'm really stressing it out because I heard someone calling their teacher Oppa. I swear to God. And this was the most embarrassing moment, and I was not even in the class that this happened. I was in the corridor of our language school, and I just see my Korean teacher passing. He wasn't my teacher back then, but I knew he was the Korean teacher. He passed by, and then he went back to his class, and then I hear a girl say, Oppa! I'm like, no, no. There's probably another man in the class, like their classmate or something. It can't be the teacher, it can't. And then a friend of mine comes out, and I ask her, hey, like, whom did she call Oppa? And she goes, her teacher. And I'm like, no. Guys, your teacher isn't your Oppa. He's not. He has a very specific honorific. That honorific is 선생님, and you have to call him 선생님. That's it. You can call him by his name and 선생님. So 현우 선생님, okay, that's also okay. We can deal with that. But 선생님, he cannot be your Oppa. He cannot be your Hyung, Noona, or Unnie. They have a very different position. They're not. Those 4 honorifics also show that you have a very strong relationship, a relationship of the protector and the person under protection. So if I call my teacher Oppa, it means that we have a very close relationship. I don't mean just being nice to each other. That's not it. Like a very close relationship of being very close friends, of him being protective of me. This is the wrong way to call your teacher. Don't do that. It's really weird. I would have never even opened my mouth to call my teachers Unnie or Oppa. So this is one thing. If you have a Korean teacher, no. 선생님. If you're in university and you want to call your teacher, it's 교수님. 교수님 is for university teachers. Don't call them 선생님. No. At work, guys, in workplaces, you don't use those 4. You don't. So if I have a female coworker that's older than me, I cannot call her with Unnie.
No, never.
If we work together, that's awesome. It doesn't matter who's younger, who's older. Both of us are going to call each other by name and she. So Nicky she, even if she's older than me, that doesn't matter. Nicky she, and then I'm going to call her with her name. So Minju she. There's no Unnie, but no. Because in workplaces, hearing those 4 words is really weird. Now, for your bosses, also a big no. If you have a Korean boss, you're going to call them by their honorific, whether that's 사장님 or 부회장님, whatever it is. No, Oppa. No. Are you going to talk to me about BTS? Why do BTS call their managers and bosses and choreographers Hyung? Because they're really close. They're not a company exactly, but more like a family. So it's okay when they call their elders, so Sejin Hyung or Sonson Hyung. that's okay because they're family. It's a very different relationship between each other. So let's just make that an exception, okay? So if you ever work, let's say, with a group, you're doing the translation for a group, let's say, you can never go up to them and say "Sehun Oppa." You're working together, you are in working terms. Oppa is not an option. Sehun shi. No matter how old he is, how much you love him, you can't say oppa to that person because you are working together, you're not friends. So that's that. My advice is play safe and ask the person, how do you want to be called? That's really simple. They're not going to get angry. They're going to get really happy that they are not Europe's oppas. They're really going to appreciate it. And believe me, once you get the point, once you get in the mindset of Korean culture and respect, you are not even going to say a name without at least putting she on it. Believe me. Or after it. Sorry, not on it. So to show you how I've changed because of Korean culture and honorifics, when I'm talking about BTS, I really can't say just their name. I get a little uncomfortable, a little anxious that I'm being disrespectful. So if I say, Jungkook, you know, I'm starting to kind of like freak out. My heart is racing because I know that I am not being respectful. Even if I'm speaking in English right now, I can't say just Jungkook. I have to say Jungkook shi. Now I feel much better, you see. So I cannot say like, hey Namjoon, what's up? I'm like, what the fuck? Namjoon shi, what's up? Yeah, I can never say just the name. If I use the nickname, so if I say J-Hope or Hobie, I feel a little better, although it's still wrong, but I feel a little better with the nicknames. So like J-Hope did this and that, okay, now I feel a little better. But if I say Hoseok, I'm like, wait. I can't say Hoseok Oppa either because it sounds very wrong. I don't know why. I really need to say Hoseok shi, and now I feel better. Now it's so much better. But if I say Jimin Oppa or Seokjin Oppa, I don't know, like my mouth won't open to say that. If I was ever to meet them, I would go straight forward with Seokjin shi, Hoseok shi, and on and on and on. I cannot say Oppa with them. And it doesn't have to do with what I feel about them. It's just that we don't know each other well enough to use those 4 honorifics, like Hyung Oppa. I can already imagine Suga being like, and when you call him Yoongi 씨, it's like, yeah, 네, 무슨 일 있어요? You know, so this is a matter of mindset and like feeling with your heart what is right and wrong. I really don't know how to explain this, but I definitely understand how weird it is at first that like Hyung, Noona, what? You know, it's kind of weird at first. I know because at first you think, why can't I just call the person with his name? Like, why it's so weird? But believe me, the more you study, the more you watch dramas, the more you'll understand how much more respectful and how much more nice it is to hear such words and to know, and for every person to know what is their place in society. And what I mean by that is, when you're young and you're talking to someone older, you have to show some sort of respect. So keep in mind that every country has their own rules, their own understandings of life, of like a different understanding of how people should treat each other. And if you want to master a language, you need to understand that part of the culture too. So instead of keeping a narrow-minded perspective of how people should be treated and that Koreans are exaggerating with respect, think about it differently. How would you want to be treated? Because I support that mindset of using honorifics a lot more than what we are doing and causing each other pain and that hate we cause to each other. Why live like that when you can actually call someone with an honorific and show respect and love and kindness towards that person? That is why Korean culture has affected me and so many other Korean learners out there. So think it through before you actually call someone whatever. So if you are to see the ambassador of Korea in your country, You're not gonna go like, hey bro, what's up? Like, 오빠, 무슨 일 있어? 이거 잘 지내고 있어? 네? The dude is going to freak out, you know? Don't do that. There's a very specific honorific for ambassador. Ambassador is 대사, and you're going to call him 대사님. That's it. You cannot call that person 형 or 오빠. No. He is an ambassador, and you're going to talk with 대사님 and endings like 입니다, 씁니다, 씁니까. That kind of word, okay? At most, respect for your ambassador, okay? He's an ambassador after all. When do you call someone's name? When can you call someone's name? When the person you're talking to is younger, you can call them by their names. So, let's say you are J-Hope's older sister. You can call J-Hope as 호소가 because you're older than him, you're his sister, so you can call him 호소가, 여기 와, okay? Come here. If you're J-Hope and you're talking to your sister, then you're gonna go 누나, 누나. I know. J-Hope can't call his sister by her name. She's 누나. Maximum I can give you is he can call her 지우 누나 or 다원 누나. That's it. He doesn't forget 누나. 누나 is really important. I think I've covered everything I wanted to say. I hope I helped you out. I hope I helped you understand how the honorifics work. And if not, you can just ask me either here or on Instagram and we can have a good chat about honorifics in Korean. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope the video helped and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out!